ይህ የሆንግ ኮንግ ማራቶን 2026 ውድድር ነው። የኢትዮጵያውያኑ አትሌቶች ከ74000 በላይ ተካፋዮች ጋር ተናንቀው እጅግ አስገራሚና እልህ አስጨራሽ የሚባል ፉክክር በማድረግ በአንደኛነት ያጠናቀቁት መድረክ። እጅግ አስገራሚው ይህ ውድድር የሁለተኛ ጊዜ ባለድል አድርጎ መላኩ በላቸውን እንዲያጠናቅቅ ምክንያት ሆኖታል። ሌላኛዋ ደግሞ ሽታዬ እሸቴ ይህንን ውድድር በበላይነት የሴቶቹን ዘርፍ በማጠናቀቅ አንደኛ ወጥታ ታላቅ የሚባለውን ድል ወስዳለች። የሆንግ ኮንግ ማራቶን የኢትዮጵያውያን አትሌቶች በድል የተንበሸበሹበትን ውድድር ይዘንላችሁ መተናል። የተወደዳችሁ የኢትዮ አትሌቲክስ ተከታታዮች ይህንን ቪዲዮ ላይክ በማድረግ ለብዙ ሰዎች እንዲዳረስ አግዙን። ሰብስክራይብ በማድረግ ቤተሰባችን መሆኑን እንዳትዘነጉት።
And off we head now. We have all our race favourites at the front. It's going to take a very long time for all the runners to even cross the starting line. Remember, there's nearly 75,000 runners in total, and the ones at the back will still just be standing there waiting for the pack to start moving across the line.
Yeah, of course, the challenges with all the elite runners, all the best Hong Kong runners starting at 6 a.m. We've got two other waves of marathon runners, 6:25, 6:50. They're all kicking off at different times, obviously to spread them out. And then, of course, half marathon, one starting at 5:30, the challenge starting at 5:30, and then 7:45, 8:10, 8:40, and then, of course, the 10K. Also, different waves throughout the day. So good to see lots of local as well as international athletes of the 74,000. Around about 25% have come internationally.
So now heading up Nathan Road for the early stages of this race. As Glenn mentioned before,
በሆንግ ኮንግ ማራቶን በተለይ ደግሞ በወንዶቹ መድረክ የተመለከትነው ትንቅንቅ እጅግ ልብን የሚያሞቅ ነበር። የአትሌቲክስ ተከታታዮች የሚወዱትን አይነት ፉክክር አስመልክቶናል። ኬንያዊው አትሌት ፍራንሲስ ኪፕኮሪር ላጋት በሰውነት ፈርጠም ያለ በአካል ብቃቱ ጠንከር ያለ የአትሌቲክስ ተወዳዳሪ ሳይሆን የቦክስ ተፋላሚ የሚመስለው አትሌት ከኢትዮጵያዊው መላኩ በላይ ጋር ያደረገው እልህ አስጨራሽ ትግል እጅግ የሚያስደስት ነበር። የሆንግ ኮንግ ማራቶን በአሁኑ ሰዓት እስያ ላይ ከሚገኙ ታላላቅ የማራቶን ውድድሮች መካከል አንደኛው ለመሆን እየተቃረበ መጥቷል። ሆንግ ኮንግ ይህንን ውድድር ከ29 ዓመት በፊት ነበረ ያስጀመረችው። አሁን ውድድሩ የግማሽ ማራቶንና የ10 ኪሎ ሜትር ውድድርም ይደረግበታል። 74000 በላይ ተካፋዮች ደግሞ በዘንድሮ መድረክ እንደተሳተፉ መረጃዎች ይጠቁማሉ። ስታንዳርድ ቻርተር ይህንን ውድድር በስፖንሰርነት እንዲያዘጋጅ ድጎማውን ይሰጣል። በርካታ ዓመታት በነበረ የዚህ ውድድር ትግል ላይ የኢትዮጵያውያን አትሌቶች የአሸናፊነቱን የበላይነት ብዙ ጊዜ ሲወስዱ አይተናል። ለምሳሌ በወንዶች እንደነ ዱቤ ጅሎ፣ በላይ ወለሼ፣ ደረጀ አበራ፣ ፈየራ ገመዳ፣ ስንታየው መርጋና መላኩ በላቸው ያሉት የሚጠቀሱ ናቸው። ደግሞ በሴቶቹ ስንቄ ቢያድግልኝ፣ መዲና አርሚሞ፣ ጉለሜ ቶሎሳ፣ ምስክር ደምሴ፣ ረሂማ ከድርና ሌሎቹም የአሸናፊነቱን ድል ሆንግ ኮንግ ላይ ከዚህ ቀደም ወስደውታል። የቦታው ክብረ ወሰን 2019 በኬንያዊው አትሌት በርናባስ ኪፕቶም ተይዟል። 2 ሰዓት ከ09 ከ20 ሰከንድ። በሴቶቹ ደግሞ በዚያው ዓመት 2019 የቤላሩሷ ተካፋይ ቮልሃ ይዘዋለች 2 ሰዓት ከ26 ከ13። ኢትዮጵያውያን አትሌቶች በተደጋጋሚ የአሸናፊነት ድልን በሆንግ ኮንግ ማራቶን ከዚህ ቀደም ቢወስዱም ነገር ግን ከ2017 በኋላ በወንዶቹ መድረክ አንድም አትሌት አሸናፊ ሆኖ ማጠናቀቅ አቅቶት ነበረ። የበላይነቱ ወደ ኬንያውያን አትሌቶች ሲያዘነብል ተመልክተናል። የዘንድሮውን ግን በሁለቱም መድረክ ታላቅ የሚባለውን ድል ማምጣት ችለዋል። ውድድሩን በአንደኝነት በወንዶቹ መድረክ የጨረሰው የ35 ዓመቱ አትሌት መላኩ በላቸው ነው። መላኩ ይህንን ውድድር የቦታውን ክብረ ወሰን ጭምር ለማሻሻል ተቃርቦ ነበረ። 2 ሰዓት ከ09 ከ39 ፈጅቶበታል። የመድረኩ ክብረ ወሰን 2 ሰዓት ከ09 ከ20 ነበር የተያዘው። መላኩ በላቸው በዚህ ውድድር ላይ የመጨረሻዎቹን ኪሎሜትሮች ከኬንያውያን አትሌቶች ጋር ያደረገው ትንቅንቅ ቁጭ ብድግ የሚያስብል ነበረ። ነገር ግን አትሌቶቹን በማዘናጋት ተስፈንጥሮ በመውጣት አሸናፊ ሆኖ የጨረሰበት መንገድ ደግሞ የአትሌቱን ብልሃትና ብቃት የሚያሳይ ነው። 35 ዓመቱ ላይ የደረሰው ይህ አትሌት በበርካታ ማራቶኖች ከዚህ ቀደም ሲወዳደር አይተነዋል። ዘንድሮ ይህንን ውድድር በአንደኛነት ለማጠናቀቅ ብልሃቱንና ልምዱን ተጠቅሞበታል። ሽታዬ እሸቴ ትውልደ ኢትዮጵያዊት ለባህሬን የምትሮጥ አትሌት ናት። ይቺህ የ35 ዓመት አንጋፋ አትሌት በበርካታ ውድድሮች ላይ ከዚህ ቀደም ስትካፈል እናቃታለን። ዜግነቷን ለባህሬን ብታደርግም ደሟ ግን ከኢትዮጵያ የተቀዳ ነው። ከ1500 ሜትር አንስቶ እስከ ማራቶን ድረስ የምትሮጠው ሽታዬ እሸቴ በዚህ ውድድር ያስመዘገበችው ሰዓት እጅግ ጠንካራ የሚባል ሆኖ አይተነዋል። ሆንግ ኮንግ ማራቶንን ለማጠናቀቅ የፈጀባት ሰዓት 2 ሰዓት ከ27 ከ03 ነበረ። የተወደዳችሁ የኢትዮ አትሌቲክስ ተከታታዮች ለዛሬ በ2026 የተደረገውን የሆንግ ኮንግ ማራቶንን ኢትዮጵያውያን አትሌቶች በበላይነት ያጠናቀቁበትን መድረክ እስከ መጨረሻው ድረስ በመከታተል እንድትዝናኑበት ጋበዝናችሁ። ላይክ፣ ሼር፣ ኮሜንት በማድረግ ተሳተፉ። ሰብስክራይብ በማድረግ ቤተሰባችን መሆኑን እንዳትዘነጉት። ሰላም።
So here we are on the Stonecutters Bridge, it looks like. Yes. Yep, Stonecutters Bridge, one of the alternate routes to the airport. And they'll come over this bridge, which, as you know if you live in Hong Kong, is a hugely elevated bridge, which then comes down into a tunnel to get you through that mountain and out toward the airport bridges. The Stonecutters Bridge, quite a complicated engineering, old piece of engineering. It's held up by huge steel cables run through gigantic tubes the size of a bus, and that internal cavity holding all those steel cables, holding these runners up, has to be air conditioned 24 hours a day, which is not a very not a particularly sustainable way to build a bridge, but there it is, spectacular looking nonetheless. As you can just see the light, that's a beautiful shot. We have had absolutely stunning weather here in Hong Kong the past few days, and it looks like it's going to be another cracker, a beautiful light blue, almost purple colour in the background as the sun just starts to creep up with a few rays over the horizon. Just past 6:30 a.m. here in Hong Kong as these runners head out toward the airport. Again, not exactly toward the airport. You could say toward Yuen Long, because they don't turn left onto the airport bridge. They head due north on the Tin Cow Bridge. And they'll do a little loop, a U-turn at the end of that bridge before going through the tunnels to Yuen Long, and then they'll head back toward the finish line in Victoria Park. I've had various different finishing points for the Hong Kong Marathon over the years. The first one I was involved in back in the 1990s ended up at a sports stadium in Shumshui. It actually ended up in far north of Kowloon, up near the border with China.
Yeah, certainly has come a long way since the inaugural one in 1997. Just over 1,000 competitors going from Seongsu up to Shenzhen. But obviously over the years, growing in leaps and bounds, of course. If we look at the history, 6,000 a year after, creeping up to almost 40,000 by the time it was 2006. Another 50,000 2 years later, 60,000 another 2 years later, and then obviously getting up to this 74,000 mark now. So a huge event for Hong Kong, but a great way to promote the city, of course.
So you just you may have seen a ribbon blowing across into the path of the runners there. Just this morning at around 5:30, just driving around Hong Kong, it started to get very blowy, actually, which is not great for these runners, depending on which way that wind is blowing.
የዩቲዩብ ተከታታዮች ሰብስክራይብ በማድረግ ቤተሰብ መሆን እንዳትዘነጉ፣ ላይክ እና ሼር በማድረግ ለሌሎች እንዲዳረስም አድርጉ።
For people taking part here, particularly as you've got to fly into Hong Kong. You've got to fly into Hong Kong to get here. So it really lends a lot of weight to the international credibility of this race, which is the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of these athletes, recreational athletes, have that bucket list of marathons that they want to do. Obviously, Chicago, New York, Tokyo, but Hong Kong's becoming one of those now as well. Being a city, of course, that they can come enjoy and have a race that is well organised, well maintained. So taking that off for some of these, as you say, 20,000 non-local athletes is a really, really good way for them to see the world, of course, and Hong Kong to really showcase its ability as well.
It's really come such a long way in terms of prize money and the number of athletes, etc. And again, this ultra challenging undulating course, it's changed so much. I mean, before the first marathon we did here was actually in the early 90s, so it wasn't the official Hong Kong marathon with the current sponsor Standard Chartered. It was a different marathon, but it was basically the Hong Kong marathon. And I remember it was 92 or 93 maybe, interviewing the men's winner from Kenya. He had quite a thick accent, and I asked him what he'd do with the prize money, and he said, I'll buy a cow. And I thought he said car. And I said, a car? And he said, no, a cow. So that was, obviously the prize money was a lot less, but he was still farming. He was a farmer, he lived with his parents, and he said the first thing he would do with part of the prize money was buy a cow. So things have come a long way since then. Most of these top runners, they're based in Switzerland, even though they grew up training in East Africa. They do the European circuit, they're based there, and they make a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. A much more professional way to do it, and just full-time athletes. Of course, these guys travel around the world, races throughout the year, as we said before, looking at the calendar, seeing which ones ideally have the most prize money, but certainly those ones that give them the points as well, to keep their gold and elite level status. They do need to do a minimum number of races per year. For example, having a 220 and below will allow you to be a gold level athlete, and then of course all those major ones that are around the world competing in all of those keeps their rankings up nice and high. Allows them to be invited to some of these events where they do have the prize money.
So heading up now toward the Tin Cow Bridge, and you can just see the traffic on the right-hand side. Sometimes you'll see a flash of headlights there on the right. There you go. Because of course, I mean, Hong Kong Airport is it's a pretty busy operation, and they just cannot cut access to the airport. And you've got flights, kicking off, I don't know, around 5 a.m. There is a bit of a curfew, I believe, at Hong Kong Airport still, I think. But certainly now the airport is a very, very busy place. So that's the main route to the airport. Apart from the train line, of course, which comes through a different route. So I guess failing all else, I can just stick everyone on the train. So this is going against the traffic. So normally, so the runners are coming up toward us. Normally when you're coming back from the airport, you're driving on this road directly into the path of where the runners are now to get onto the off-ramp to get through that mountain onto Kowloon side. So it looks like one of our camera crew are having to turn around. get a few shots in a different direction. In fact, that's what they've had to do, because that is the turning point, not on the Tin Cow Bridge. They come across here just at the start of the airport bridge. They do a loop, and then they come around again and then hang a left and then head out onto the Tin Cow Bridge. Here we go. Again, you're now looking up toward the airport bridge, and we'll have a quick left here for Tin Cow. It's interesting, I don't recall this turning point at the last marathon. I don't recall them coming onto the airport bridge at all, but you can see, certainly on the map that we have in front of us, there's just that little turning point there, and then back, just to add some extra difference. Distance, I should say, for some reason.
Yeah, of course, in previous years they did traverse the length of the Chiang Mai Bridge instead, but this year, for whatever reason, they've gone up to the Tin Cow Bridge. But this is probably at this point now, almost at the halfway mark. It's the highest amount of elevation, around about 70 meters. Doesn't seem like that much, but if you've already been running for an hour, it is quite steep as they get towards some of these bridges here, going up to 70 meters up the top.
I mean, even in a car, I mean, I've driven this route, goodness, I wouldn't say hundreds of times, but certainly a lot over 35 years. You don't even get an idea of the inclination when you're driving in a car. You just don't notice. But you speak to the runners who finished this race, and they'll tell you about every point where they'll say it was absolute murder getting beating one of these inclines again, particularly out of that West Kowloon tunnel.
You see the marker there, of course, 15 kilometers already. At the 50-minute mark right now.
And back with the women's field. So, boy, they have really thinned out. Look at that. So we still have Shitaye of Bahrain in the lead, but now she's really being pressured. So just to her, well, just tucked in behind her in the lilac-coloured top, that's Haftu Tesfaye of Ethiopia. One of the, you could say, younger runners. She's 27, but the oldest in this race is actually 45. Caroline Keel of Kenya, part of the elite group of runners, is 45 years old. That's really quite incredible, running at this level at that age. Now back with the men. So we'll come back later to the women, but it's Haftu Tesfaye at 27 years of age with a PB of 2:25, who's actually looking in better shape there when we just caught sight of those women. Under the halfway mark of this race.
Yeah, as you were saying before the bridges, you can see quite a bit of breeze there. Their bibs are blowing around, so certainly those are the kind of conditions that are not too favourable for the athletes. The ribbons there, the shirts have been blowing around quite a bit as they come back down the other side of the bridge.
I mean, that might be, we've got I mean, the weather has been cool lately, but there is a very cold front coming into Hong Kong this coming week, later this week. Maybe that wind is the change, a coming change in temperature. But yeah, Glenn, you can see how strong that is. And that's going to take, that'll take minutes off the finishing time.
Yeah, absolutely. Those ideal conditions are kind of below 10 degrees today in Hong Kong, 18 to 23, so it's certainly quite warm, but not only the temperature, wind, rain, humidity, those are all the conditions that make a race a little bit more difficult than it already is. And certainly that wind is going to add an extra few more minutes to their times.
Okay, there's the pacer that I was talking about before. The official pacer, it's Samir Nasser Sharif from Ethiopia, 33 years of age. And he's just there in front of some of the runners, including his compatriot is Chaltu Kumsa of Ethiopia, but it's still Shitaye in the lead, representing Bahrain. But my bet would be not born in Bahrain, but from Ethiopia, and now competing for Bahrain. That's the way it works these days. Yeah. Eshete, Shitaye, the women's leader at the moment, yeah, just wanted to double check that before saying, but yeah, she's born in Ethiopia in 1990 and now competes for Bahrain. Pretty much all of the Bahrainian athletes have been naturalized in Bahrain, but they've basically been paid quite a lot of money to compete for Bahrain. That's how it's been working for the last 20 years at least.
It's always interesting to see, you know, obviously when you get to Olympic stage, there's only a certain number of athletes you can send per country. So you see it with table tennis in China, I guess, as well. You know, all the top players, if they're not in the top 1, 2, 3 and they're not going to the Olympics, then what are the other options? You know, looking at different countries, naturalizing there, and then obviously still be able to compete at the Olympics. So, you know, every sport's the same, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a very cutthroat, you know, if you're really up the top, then you're doing really well, but if you're not, then you're got to look at your other options.
Like playing rugby for Japan. That's another one. So we are getting little flashes there, quick shots of some of the Hong Kong runners taking part in the race.
Yeah, we've got Wan-chun. He's a two-time champion, of course, last year, the year before. He's got a PB of 2:15. He did that in the 2024, so hopefully we can get him here under the 2:20 mark. It'd be really fantastic. But just in the back there, you can see North Korea. Han from North Korea, one of the invited athletes, is just in the blue there. He's amongst all the other Ethiopians and the Kenyans, but look to him also to perhaps not necessarily a medal, but getting in the top there would be a great effort for him.
It was interesting, Glenn, just watching Sharif there pacing these ladies, really kind of almost coaching them through, slowing down, putting his arm out, just reminding them to kind of slow down as they made that turn. And then, you know, constantly looking back, seeing where they were and making sure that they were, or he wasn't getting too far ahead of them.
So they should be around about the 20k mark, around about halfway now, and this is probably the peak of the incline, getting up to just under 80 meters, and now they'll head down towards the Western Tunnel on a bit of a decline.
believe that actually the angle is that they're either on the flat or still going down. It's a little bit deceptive. Either way, I believe it's fair to say we're now looking at the leading pack, and the others are not going to catch them. So we're now down to a leading pack of 4 people. Yeah, it's very unlikely that any of them are going to catch up heading up the hill. As we see the 2 Chinese runners, again, one of whom was up in the leading pack before, but we're continuing with them as they head down into the tunnel. So to be fair, they are quite a way back, but they're sticking together for the time being.
So it does look like they're starting to make a bit of an incline now as they reach the middle of the tunnel, go back up. And then they'll start coming onto Hong Kong Island side around the 35-kilometre mark. But let's see if we can get a glimpse of our previous champion, Ruto Bethwell Kipkorir Ruto, who was our last year's champion with a time of 2:11. If we see him at the back there, just in the lilac, we remember him. But he should be there amongst the top, hopefully, maybe just in the back there.
Yeah, just to clarify, we've got those 2 Kenyans in the white tops, but that's not in any way some sort of Kenyan national top, because we've got another Kenyan behind them too, Silas Too, who's in the yellow and green top. So it's Kenya 1, 2, 3 at the moment.
Yeah, interesting, Andrew. That's what it finished last year. Kenya 1, 2, 3 as well. Of the top 26 athletes, 13 of them are from Kenya. So they will certainly be well represented. Ethiopia, of course, 1, 2, 3. There's at least 8 online Ethiopians as well.
You know what would be great right now if the cameraman could swing around and give us a quick shot of what's coming up the other end of the tunnel. That would help a lot. Yeah, fair to say, Glenn, they are absolutely cracking on up the hill on the incline to get out of the Western Tunnel. And again, there's that group of 4. Yeah, you could possibly say 5 if you want to include Bezunair from Ethiopia. The man with a darker coloured top and the mustache just at the back. Han of North Korea, not going anywhere. And he's decided to go on his own, out on the far right. So they've all got a fair idea about the course. I'm just trying to think where that comes out of the tunnel, if it makes sense to stick to the far right of that road or stay in the middle. I think you come up and you do. The road to Central is to the right, and it loops round over the road, which is a small underpass which goes to Kennedy Town. So yeah, Han's probably got the right idea, trying to stick to the right. Staggering silence of most of this race. I really wonder if they'd be inspired to put in a better time if there were more spectators lined along the track. They really won't get them until they come off the flyover down into, well, pretty close to Central. Then you may start to get a few people on the side, but not many. It's not until they get into, say, Wan-chun, Causeway Bay that you'll see people. But the thing is, it's still early. I don't actually ever remember crowds at any point through Wan-chun or Causeway Bay lining the roads. Just a few people heading off to Sunday jobs, surprised to see the streets blocked off, and some of the world's best marathon runners coming through town. Kowloon in the background, Chimsa Choi in the background that you can see the Palace Museum there, the sun just hitting the side of that magnificent huge building over in West Kowloon. So we're already past the point where Han is thinking, okay, I cannot let these guys get away from me because there's no catching them if that happens. So that's one of our Hong Kong runners in the lower right. Out on his own and a long way back from the leaders. And that is our race leader at the moment, Francis Kipkorir of Kenya, 26 years of age, with a PB of 2:07. Unlikely that he's going to break that time here. Very unlikely, in fact, after that win they got buffeted by out on one of the bridges. But we're inside the last, Glenn, you'd say 20 odd minutes of the race?
Yeah, certainly past the 35 kilometre mark, so just 5 to 7 kilometres to go. Langat, of course, in good form. His personal best was just last year, and Wuxi in China, personal best of 2:07. So good form for him. 2025, he did that, and it looks like he might be making a bit of a push now.
So Hong Kong's Wan-chun, I believe, down there in the bottom right-hand corner. Wan-chun, 29 years of age, and he's got a personal best of 2 hours 15 minutes 26 seconds set in 2024. So not exactly sure what position Wan-chun is in at the moment as we pick it up again with our race leader is now starting to put some serious space between himself and second place. So now still on the elevated expressway passing through the western district of Hong Kong, heading down toward Shungwan, sort of lower Sayingpoon west.
የዩቲዩብ ተከታታዮች ሰብስክራይብ በማድረግ ቤተሰብ መሆን እንዳትዘነጉ። ላይክ እና ሼር በማድረግ ለሌሎች እንዲዳረስም አድርጉ።
As they head up to where IFC 1 and Exchange Square is.
Yeah, that was a bit of a brutal incline there from the middle of the tunnel to where they are now, probably around about a 50-metre incline, which doesn't seem like much, but when you've already done 35 kilometres of running for an hour and 40 minutes, that's a pretty tough ask. So that will certainly separate the field a little bit. As you can see now, that bunch of 10 to 12 that we had for a good 1 hour, kind of 45 minutes is started to spread out a little bit. But Melaku Belachew from Ethiopia, his personal best of 2:06 in Berlin in 2024. He certainly caught up to Langat, and then let's see if these are the two that are going to make the push. If we remember last year, the difference between 1 and 2 was very, very slim. Of course, Ruto, he finished in 2:11.
So, Langat has someone very much on his shoulder as Bizunair of Ethiopia stalks the leader at the coming up to the 154 mark. So it's Kenya 1, Ethiopia 2, Kenya 3 at the moment. Langat is not going to like being pressured like this as they head down into the central district of Hong Kong. So this is going to be quite the duel between these two. They still have a long way to go, don't forget. They've got at least 15 minutes of running time left, quite a few kilometres, but they are absolutely on the home stretch.
Yeah, the difference between 1 and 2, we're mentioning 2:11.13 was the winner at Ruto last year. 2:11.36, so only 20-second difference between the first and the second last year. And then another 4 seconds behind that was third place Kenya 1, 2, 3. But looks like maybe Bizunair, he's putting a bit of a push. See if he can increase this distance between him and Langat from Kenya.
Yeah, look at that. He's just in the last kind of 500 meters. He's burned past him, and he's going to build that lead. He's now, 5 meters ahead. They look a lot closer than they are at the moment from this angle, but he's really starting to build this lead. Well, who would have thought? I mean, he really looked like he was out on his own, Langat. Francis Langat, looking like he had it all stitched up, but now Bizunair. And when you're down to your last reserves of energy and hydration, this sort of stretch is very, very hard to catch someone.
So the course record of 2:09, of course, Kipkorir in 2019. If he can get under 2:09, he'll get another 12,000 US for beating the course record. If he can get it under 2:10, it's another 8,000. So
I'll tell you what, let's see if he's on target for that. As we come past, it looks like all the ferry terminals down on the waterfront here, directly in front of IFC. All the ferries that go out to the likes of Discovery Bay, Lama, Lantau, they've passed that area as he continues to build up this lead. So I guess you could say the battle at the moment now is just on for third and fourth place, but let's see, still a way to go. And let's see what happens with the women's field. We will get a shot of them soon, I would think, and of course we'll come back and watch them all finish. But it looks like Tesfaye, the last time we left, had just taken the lead from Shitaye of Bahrain. We don't have the computer information on that, only relying on our pictures so far, but we'll cut back to them soon. So let's stick with these leaders, and it's Melaku Belachew from Ethiopia, 36 years old, let's not forget. That's something else to note. So one of the veterans of this race really looks like he has this in hand. Langat, though, still hovering behind, but dropping a few steps further back with every 100 or so meters. So finally we're getting some spectators, and this is what it would have been great to see for the whole race. A lot of them, to be fair, are people involved in the race, a lot of official photographers, some amateur photographers, but this is definitely a public area. It's a place where spectators can come down if they want and line certain areas of the street, just behind those police barricades. Look how far he is ahead now. Goodness. I'm just so keen to see this time. Melaku Belachew of Ethiopia. He's completely lost lane gap. There he is. Lane gap's just coming around the corner now as they run. Not exactly sure where that is. Heading into Wan-chun.
Yeah, I think if they get a shot just by the Ferris wheel and Central along and then they'll come up to Tamar Park around that area.
Yeah, there you go. You can well spotted, Glenn. You can see the wheel, the big wheel in the background. Let's just double check. So we're now giving him seconds to play with as well, because the Hong Kong best time, as Glenn mentioned before, set in 2019 by Barnabas Kiptum, is 2:09 and 20 seconds. So that's what he's got to play with to try and break the course record. This is great. Again, the importance of having a good sports watch on your wrist when you're running a race like this, and thinking about bonuses and legacy as well, if you can put it that way. He is charging ahead because he really wants to try and catch this course record and finish under 2:10. Two Kenyans further back battling for second and third place. Now, look at that. There's our pacer and our women's leader. So it looks like Shitaye outlasted Tesfaye. In fact, she's nowhere to be seen. Still being led by the official pacer, Samir Sharif. But there's your race leader at the moment. And can he do it? Can he break this time? So coming up now, over one of the flyovers that takes you over the top of Lockhart Road in Wan-chun. In fact, I think it takes you over Hennessy and Wan-chun, past the Wan-chun sports ground. Then they'll come down to the bottom of this flyover and hang a left and wind their way through Causeway Bay to get up to the finish line. Again, yet another stunning day here in Hong Kong. This race for the men's field, the top of the field, will be over before the day really gets started. Now into the shopping district and onto Lockhart Road. Glenn, I hope your maths is correct, because he's very close to Victoria Park. And we've only just gone over 2:07. Charging through the shopping district of Wan-chun, Causeway Bay now. It's going to be tight. It's going to be very tight, because from this point exactly, he's now got 2 minutes left to try and get under that course record. Wow, this would be an incredible feat. I mean, apart from that wind out toward the airport, it's absolutely perfect conditions for running. And Bizonaire, who was hovering back in the early stages of the race, you could always see him there. He was hovering around 4th, 5th, 6th place, and he stayed in there, leaving his burst until around the Western Tunnel, or just out of the tunnel. And is he going to get there? On the tram lines now, tucking around toward the back of Causeway Bay. Yes, just passing the massive and iconic Sogo department store. I was in there just the other day, actually. Now, literally around the back of Victoria Park. So, an official race escort trying to tell the camera crew to get forward and directing Bizonaire onto the right part of the track, the correct part of the track. There's the battle for second and third further back. Oh goodness, I don't think he's going to make it. He's within like 30 seconds. Well, I don't recall seeing that either. A bicycle escort crowd. Oh, he could make it. He's got a chance. Look at this. It's 2:09.08. If he can get over the line, he's got 10 seconds to beat. He will know exactly what time. 16. Oh. We've just cut away. He's asking for, well, he comes across the line now, but he's outside the course record by a fraction. Here we go. There's our race winner.
የዩቲዩብ ተከታታዮች ሰብስክራይብ በማድረግ ቤተሰብ መሆን እንዳትዘነጉ። ላይክ እና ሼር በማድረግ ለሌሎች እንዲዳረስም አድርጉ።
It is wonderful to see. He deserves to do that. The organizers love it. Adding a bit of character to this race. 2 is in second. Well, that's ironic. 2 finishes number 2. And Langat, oh, great atmosphere down here at the finish line. The Kenyans, I mean, these guys live out of each other's pockets on the circuit, in their training. Even the Ethiopians, close neighbours geographically, but again, they all train and run around together. They know each other so well. This is one of the friendliest finishes we've ever seen here at the Standard Chartered Hong Kong Marathon. What a great scene, and what a stunning victory by Melaku Belachew of Ethiopia. And there's Han of North Korea. He stuck with them for so long. He led the race at one point, and he finishes just over 2:10. So really spectacular times all round. Now up the top right-hand corner, top left-hand corner, I should say. That's our what appears to be our women's winner. She hasn't crossed the line yet. Shitaye of Bahrain, born and raised in Ethiopia, but running for Bahrain. Bottom right screen there is our top Hong Kong runner. That's Wan-chun, number 18062, 29 years of age. But here's your women's winner. Just going through the motions here, leading us up to the finish line. She's still got a way to go. She's now only just at the Star Ferry area, all the ferries that go out to the outlying islands. So she's got another couple of minutes to go, but she'll be happy because she is cruising through to win this race, and she'll probably clock up a good time as well.
Yeah, of course, before we saw Bizonaire finish 2:09.36. The course record was 2:09.20, so he wasn't too far away, but certainly got under that 2:10 mark, which is another $8,000 for him, which is a very, very good effort on in today's conditions, of course. But for the woman, Shitaye, she has a PB of 2:20, which she did last year in Hamburg. So she'll be looking to see if she can get in. The course record is a 2:26. So if she can get under 2.
Since runner, when you're that good, you're often out on your own. So still also sticking. I like the way they've done this. We've got our top Hong Kong runner, Wan-chun, down at the bottom right. He looks like he's feeling it actually. The pace is a little slow, but he is also all out on his own. Let's see, he looks like he's waning just a little bit, but he's so close to home. He's going to be fine. The 29-year-old with a personal best of 2:15.26, only set just a couple of years ago. Wow, she's absolutely demolished this field, this women's field. I'm not sure if she's actually smiling there or grimacing, but she's looking pretty comfortable. A really good steady stride as they come past the, I guess, the festival area, if you like, where there's currently a circus-style fair on there at the moment. The Clock and Flat Music Festival is held over there. Of course, it's just a flat open area for all sorts of festivals because they can't build on it. Of course, because the Wan-chun bypass is underneath and you can't build buildings on top of a tunnel. So that will remain open area in Hong Kong forever.
Yeah, Shitaye here. Shitaye is, as we said, nationalised to Bahrain. Obviously, she's going to be an Asian champion, 10,000 metres, 2011, 2013, 2019, indoor champion, 3,000 metres, so really cleaning up in the Asian championships. But she is certainly one of the premier marathon runners in the world, not only in Asia.
Yeah, and things like the prize money here, Glenn, of course, is, you know, it's not nothing, but it is nothing in compared to the overall huge financial benefits she gets by running for Bahrain. Big money for an African athlete to take up residency and nationality in Bahrain and run for them. Big financial incentives. So she'll be made in the shade, not just from winning prize money like the $65,000 here.
Yeah, 2009 is when she first started competing for Bahrain. Of course, and then since
that's a long time.
Yeah, she's been in there for a while already, and then started cleaning up, and obviously all these long distance events, 10Ks, 10,000 meters at any of the athletic championships. But certainly a world-class athlete in her own right for sure. So again, keep an eye on that time. 2:20 is her PB. Again, our course record 2:26.
Well, the gap between first and second here in the women's field has got to be at least 2 minutes, I'd say, possibly even more. It may have gone up to 3 minutes. I think we may have had a couple of dropouts. I mean, we haven't been able to see the field, but we had a Kenyan runner and an Ethiopian behind, and they're just nowhere to be seen. So I'd say from that leading pack of 3 or 4 women runners at one point further back near the Tin Cow Bridge, when it looked like they were all staying with each other, I suspect we've had at least one person actually drop out or suffered some sort of injury that's dramatically cut back the pace at which they've been running. So there's Shitaye just coming out from underneath the convention. It's only for half a day though. They'll lift the restrictions later on in the morning before midday. But again, the airport expressway was used for this race, but there was a section of it open the whole time, so that people could still easily drive out there and back. So following our women's leader now over the 2:25 mark, and she's getting closer to the finish, and there's our Hong Kong star Wong Wan-chun. Doesn't look distressed, but he's taking his time, and he can, certainly for the Hong Kong field. Again, there's that direction to make sure the runners don't go off the chosen path. As Wong now comes onto the finish line area, our first Hong Kong runner, and then back to the women's leader there. It was hard to tell at one point who was ahead of who, but Wong is coming through across the finish line soon, and I do hope we cut back to that. As we follow the women's leader, and she is now, there's Wong. So Wong Wan-chun comes through just under 2:27, crosses the line, and finally he can afford to smile here. Yeah, they've had to keep Wong out of the way, because the important finisher here at this moment on this side of the track, of course, is the women's champion, $65,000, and a big win in just under, or right on, perhaps it was bang on 2:27 minutes. There's your women's winner, who led for most of the race, to be fair. Shitaye of Bahrain, Ethiopian born, 36 years of age, and despite being 36, she's still.
የዩቲዩብ ተከታታዮች ሰብስክራይብ በማድረግ ቤተሰብ መሆን እንዳትዘነጉ። ላይክ እና ሼር በማድረግ ለሌሎች እንዲዳረስም አድርጉ።
Just trying to catch the number on that. It may have been Wong Kai Lok of Hong Kong just crossing the line there. I'm not sure, but this must be no. So Tesfaye didn't blow out during this race. She grabbed the lead briefly, but then she obviously just didn't have the energy to keep up with our race winner. So it looks like in second place we're going to have Tesfaye of Ethiopia. There she is in the lilac-coloured top. She makes her way onto that finish, a bright green finish strip here at Victoria Park. So there's your number 2 in second place, a few minutes behind the winner, and this is Tesfaye of Ethiopia, 27 years of age, taking second place in the Hong Kong Marathon.
Yeah, as you mentioned, we said you did say 2 minutes behind first and second. That's quite a big gap. And then in first place, Masai from Kenya, also 37 years of age, 2:29. There's your 1, 2, 3. Bahrain, Ethiopia, then Kenya. And then I guess the elation of finishing in the second place is still a good effort. Second place, still 30,000.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it's less than half the prize money, but $30,000, still not too bad. So Masai a little unsure about exactly where to go. Tesfaye, a very grateful second place finisher there. So Glenn, what would be the routine of a runner finishing a race like this? Ideally, what you want to get into your body pretty quickly, that sort of thing, stretching, cramp,